Hello everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and my craft table. This little video is a layers panel overview for beginners. Now, just because you may not be a beginner doesn't mean that there isn't a good time to occasionally review some of the amazing functions and features of Cricut Design Space. So this video, I'm going to tell you all about the tools that you will need to work with multi-layer designs on canvas. So what I have done is I have brought in on my canvas, this is where we create our designs. So I've brought in a coffee cup and I just went and picked that out. I went to images and I saw this little coffee cup here and I just clicked on the plus sign and it added it to my canvas. And then I just closed that side panel. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to mainly talk about today is this layers panel over here and just a little bit of these functions down here. By the way, if this is ever something you want to have go away, you can click on this little X and then you have the full layers panel there. Okay, so the layers panel over here. This is going to list each element of the design as an individual component with the operation that has been assigned to it. So if I click on this little arrow, then you can see this coffee cup opens and it has basically 4 layers to it. And all of these layers are their basic cut functions. Is in the operation menu over here. You could possibly change it to draw and it would look like this. So you could have a pen draw this out. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as a basic cut file. And then you can see the 4 different layers. Now, one thing is a lot of times you will need to group or ungroup your images in your designs. And a lot of times you have to ungroup them when you are like working with them the first time. So this button right here, this is the group and ungroup button. So if I were to click on this right now, then you see that everything is now separate. And I can actually just move this away, and then I can move this away, and then I can move this away. So I can have all 4 pieces separate. You know, depending on what you're making, sometimes you need to work with the pieces separately. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on my undo button, put all those back where they were. Now, if you want to group something, you can just click and drag. This will select all of them, and you'll see all of these turn green in your layers panel over here. You can click on one and then hold down your shift key and just select all of them individually. Sometimes that is better. If I want all of them, the click and drag method is usually what I do. Let's say that I just wanted the 2 pieces here, just those. So if I just want those to be grouped together, I would select just those using my shift key. Okay, so that's the group and ungroup, and I'm going to go ahead and regroup them. In your layers panel, when you group or slice or weld or whatever, or attach, that's what it's going to say. So if you double click, you can actually change the title. So it said coffee cup, and then I ungrouped it and grouped it back, and it said group, and then I double clicked and I typed coffee cup, and now it says coffee cup. And that's what it was originally. The other thing here, this next little button here, this is your duplicate button. So let's say that I have this selected and I want to have more than one. So if I click the duplicate button, it makes another one. And you can duplicate shapes and images as much as you want, as many times as you need them. Basically, duplicate just makes an additional copy. Now, let's say that you made too many, or there's something in your design that you don't want anymore, or you just want something to go away. Well, there's 2 things to make things go away. In your design itself, let's say that you did not want, you didn't want the top of the coffee cup to have that brown accent. You could just click on the little eyeball right here and that will make it hidden, but it doesn't delete it. So you have access to it still. But let's say that you duplicated the coffee cup and then you decided you did not need a duplicate copy. You can just click on that and then come up here to the little trash can, and this is your delete. All of these layers, this refers to each little individual element or object in your design, and each layer can have its own color. Now, let's talk about some of the little functions down here at the bottom. And you'll notice that when I click on the coffee cup, the slice and the contour, they're grayed out. You can't use them. So slice is to split two overlapping images into separate parts, and it creates a third object or shape. And then the contour is basically you want to hide things or unhide things in a design that you want it, because you want it to be something new. You have to do an ungroup in order for that to work. So let's say I ungroup and then I come over here to this coffee cup, the white part. And if you click on that, notice my contour now is available to use. And if I click on contour, I can, let's say I don't want that heart there. I can actually just click here, all right? Or I could even click over here and it'll gray it out. So the dark gray is what's gonna show and the light gray is what's not gonna show. You can hide all contours or show all contours. Show all contours, everything's gonna be there. If you hide all contours, there will be one that stays dark gray because it has to have one thing. But let's say you don't want that heart, and then you can click on your little X. And now the heart is gone. So let's say I didn't want the heart there. And then you could go into shapes, you could pull in a circle. Maybe you don't like hearts and you want circles. So I can just pull that down here. Okay, and then I can change that to white. So instead of that heart shape, I now have a white circle. So that's something fun about contour. I'm going to go ahead and move the circle off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and click back on that, the little white portion of the coffee cup. I'm going to go back to contour. I'm going to put that heart back where we had it, just like that. So that would be the contour. As far as slice is concerned, slice is only good for 2 layers. So I want to talk about slice for a minute. Let me put that back. Let me go ahead and group this coffee cup. And I'm going to move that over here to the side. So we've talked about contour, where you can turn elements on or off. Okay, so then let's say that you want to use the slice menu. I'm going to go into shapes, and let's say I'm just going to pull out a box. So I'm going to pull out this box here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, make that a little bit bigger. Now you'll notice that my circle is behind. If you ever want your circle on top, you have 2 choices. You can drag the circle from here and put it above your rectangle and it'll move to the top. You can also go to the arrange and you can send things forward or backward. Okay, and you can group and ungroup. Okay, so as far as the slice is concerned, that's the one that was grayed out earlier. Well, if I have 2 layers only, this only works for 2 layers. If I just go like that and I select both of them or select them both in my layers panel, the slice button is now available. And so if I click on slice, and it'll take a minute, then what you'll see in your layers panel is you'll see all 3 elements. Basically, I'm going to have my white circle that I started with. And then I have that little charcoal square, but if I pull off this charcoal circle, now this little square has a hole in it, basically, because you can see the grid underneath it. So this takes 2 layers and it turns it into 3 particular parts. So I could have this here would be charcoal, and then this is the charcoal one. Let's say that you sliced and you didn't want to slice. You could just go to undo. When you do undo, then you got your 2 original shapes, just like that. Okay, so that's how the slice function works. It only works for 2 layers. So let's say that you had multiple layers. Let's bring in a triangle just so I can demonstrate. If I have a triangle here and I'll put this circle here. Okay, there are 3 images here. And when I select all 3 of them, you'll notice that the slice button is not available. You can only slice 2 things at a time. So you either have to move the one off to the side or you can hide it in your layers panel. So now I have the slice and I can use that on the triangle. Okay, you'll see I've got now the bottom part of that triangle is now a trapezoid. I have the top part of that triangle there, and then I have that triangular slice that I've taken out of my little square. Okay, so that would be slicing. So the combine menu here, let me click on both of those. The combine menu gives you several options, and I want to talk about what those create. The attach is kind of fun. Let's say that you wanted to, I'm just going to put hi in a text, and I'm going to move that over here. And let's say that I wanted to have the word hi cut out of my circle, but I wanted to be able to manipulate both of these layers at any time in the future. I didn't want it to be something that's completely permanent. I just for this particular project. So what I could do is I could hit attach, and this right here, you'd see the word attach. And what that does is it will cut out my circle, and in that circle it will cut out the hi, but when I come over here to my layers panel, I can still see that 2 elements are separate. So they're not permanent if I wanted to use them for something else. But when I go to the make screen, this will show up on the make screen exactly as you see it here. If you don't do the attach, let's go to our make screen. I'm going to duplicate those and then I'm going to attach them. Okay, so I have one pair that is not attached right there. And I have one pair that is attached right here. And so the attach button is really important because especially when you have text or you have things in a certain way that you need them. So for instance, here is the circle with the hi in it, so that it will cut the circle and it will cut the word hi into the circle. And then I have the plain circle and the word hi is somewhere else. This is one layer of my coffee cup. This is the bottom layer of my coffee cup. Here, oh, here's the word hi that was not attached to that one circle. Here is my little square from earlier. Here is the lid piece, the little sleeve of my cup. So there's kind of all the little things. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. So whenever you go to your make screen, if you hit the make screen and you see that it's not the way you want it, just hit cancel and it'll bring you back here to your canvas. And I'm going to hide this coffee cup. We don't need it right now. I'm going to select that hi and get rid of it. I'm going to select that and get rid of that. I want to talk to you about the combine. The cool thing about that is I can take my circle. In fact, I'm going to make my circle, let's make it kind of as big as this square. Okay, so they're about the same size. All right, so let's just say I have it looking like that. Then I can select both of them. I can slice if I want to, but I'm going to come over here to combine because we've already talked about slice. I can click on weld. Now weld will merge 2 or more. I can take as many layers as I want and it will merge them into one singular shape. You can't undo the weld after you save. Like if you save it, it's going to be permanent. So think of this like super glue. If I do weld, see how it took my square and my circle and it made one shape, which is kind of a cool shape depending on what you're making, right? Maybe you're making something really fun and abstract. And then you'll see over here in my layers panel, I don't have a circle and square anymore. I just have the one new shape. So the only way you can undo that is before you hit save. Let's say you accidentally hit weld, just come up here to your little undo button. That's the only way you can undo a weld result. All right, so you can't undo it once you save it. That's weld. I'm going to duplicate those. Let's see, this is going to be Weld. I'm going to demonstrate that one more time. I come down, select both of them. I come down to combine and I go to Weld. Okay, so just like this. Okay, so now I have these two right here. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 more things to demonstrate. So I'm going to duplicate this again, and I'm going to move these over here. So when I come to this section, these two here, so I have my master over there, I have my Weld, I go back to combine. Now unite. Unite is going to do the same thing as Weld, but it's not permanent, even after I save it. So when you come over here to your layers panel, you can see where it says unite, and it still has the two shapes that are separate from each other. So you can undo a unite function, right? So if you need to have access to the individual shapes later, then I would use unite. Okay, so Weld is permanent, unite is temporarily welded. That would be a good way to think about that. Okay, and I'm just gonna change that color. Just move that kind of out of the way. Now I've got these two again. Let me duplicate them, bring them down here for us to work with. I'm going to go back to combine. Now subtract. Now subtract, they're both selected, circles on the bottom. And if I hit subtract, you'll see the square went away, and this, the bottom layer, the part where the square was, is gone. So it basically it's like it slices it and removes it for you at the same time. Okay, so it's slicing it, but it's also deleting things at the same time. Kind of looks like a little Pac-Man. Let me hit undo, and I want to show you what happens if the square is on the bottom. So I'm going to send that to the back. Okay, so this time I'm going to redo subtraction, but now the circle's on top. So I'm going to come over here, select both of them, go to combine. I'm going to go back to subtract. Now this bottom layer, that square, that circle part was subtracted out of it, and then it deleted that. So that's kind of a fun thing. So those were both subtractions. So we had our Weld, which is permanent. We have our unite, which is like a temporary welding. And we have subtraction. Subtraction will remove the overlap between the two layers, leaving whatever was on the bottom. So I'm going to grab these again. I think I have a couple more. So I'll duplicate and bring this down. Okay, they're both selected, so I'll go back to combine. Then we have intersect. Intersect, basically, we're just going to be keeping an intersection. So if I click on intersect, then the part where, see right here, where the square is overlapping the circle right here, or vice versa, now this intersection, that's all that's left. So the square and the circle got deleted except for the overlap. So that's an intersection. And then we have one more, and this one is called Exclude. So what this is going to do is it's going to get rid of the overlap. I'm going to hit Exclude, and this time, see right here, that middle part that was overlapping is now gone. So this was intersection, and this is Exclude. Now the fun thing about this is my Exclude. I'm going to just kind of leave that over here. But let's say you excluded that overlap and then you went back to combine. You can go here to merge layers. Do you see that where it says merge layers? Everything is now one layer. It's not two layers. So your exclude had down here, the layers are still separate. But then I duplicated it to show you that if you had clicked on combine and you clicked on merge, then it basically it's kind of like uniting them into one layer. It's still going to cut, so you'll weed that part out, but that's just another little thing. You can unmerge if you wanted to. You can go to contour and you could get rid of that. You could get rid of that. So it's all the little pieces are still there. So just a lot of fun things you can play around with. This was our exclude. This was our intersection. Both of these were subtractions. It just depended on which one was on the top, which one was on the bottom. Here is our unite, which is a temporary welding. I can pull it back apart. And here is our weld. So weld results in one layer only. Everything else, you can still see the individual layers in your layers panel. You just have to expand the arrow. So I just wanted to kind of go through some of those little things for you. You can Also, where it says undo, intersect, merge layers, you can undo things. So if I click on this one, okay, I can undo the exclude. If I click on that one, I can undo the subtract. So that's in the bottom of the combine. I did forget to mention that. I just wanted to take you through all of those. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to flatten so that we can turn things into stickers. All right, so until I see you in the next video, as always, happy crafting.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.